there. Welcome to the Mindset and Money podcast. My name is Deb Howard.
And I am Love Pate.
And we're here to talk to you about your mindset and your money. Let us get to it. So, Miss Love, how's it going today, first of all?
It is going well, and I'm glad that we get an opportunity to have this conversation. It's an important conversation.
It's an important conversation. Yes, it is. Yes, because you need your mind and your money. You need both. You need a mind and you need money to go along with it.
Right.
So it is great to have this discussion. I think that during this time of year, a lot of times people use their mind to shop and their money to shop. But I think it would be good for us to talk a little bit about really what it takes to get the right mindset, to be in the right headspace, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because a lot of times people aren't in the right headspace, and it could be because of emotion, it could be stress, all kind of things, or it just could be ignorance. So, as we start this discussion, tell me, what thoughts do you have just starting out about where people need to be in order to start moving in the right direction?
So one of the things that I think becomes important to think about as it relates to the holidays is that holidays bring within themselves a certain level of emotions, right? Some people have lost loved ones. Some people have as a child spent Christmases without, and now as adults they're trying to make up for all that they feel that they may have lost or didn't have. Some people have the pressure of trying to make things happen for their kids, very well knowing that they don't have enough or they're in lack. So there's a lot of things that become important to take in consideration as we're shifting into this season, that it's not just about gifts and presents. And so as we begin to think about how we use our money wisely, we begin to have to really think about the root of where our, let's say, I don't want to say deficiencies, but sometimes when it comes to money, right, we have some deficiencies or some negative thought patterns and actions that cause us to not spend our money well. So we got to get to the root. That's one of the first things that we have to look at.
Yeah, I agree. We got to get to the root. I know just my own experience with the holidays was just a lot of sacrifice. My parents, sacrificed a lot, and probably not always in the right way. Right? They did some things which caused me also, when I became an adult, to cut some corners and to do some things that probably didn't set me up, for success. And parents didn't help my kids learn good money habits in the beginning. Sometimes I think we forget that they're watching, right? We can tell them, but they're watching us. And so just like my parents did things, and they did it out of love, y'all. It wasn't,
Right.
They did it out of love, but it was still not good, because it caused them to be stressed. It caused them to, and we saw that. We were witnesses to that. And it caused me to follow in their footsteps, per se. So it is important to get to the root. So we can cut the root off, right? So we can really dig up those areas. I think another area, Love, that I think can be challenging for people is just making the right choices. It's just being able to say no sometimes, especially at holiday time, right? Boundaries.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah. So, and I think when it comes to, I'm going to speak from a single parent aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as a single parent, we spend a lot of time of feeling like we have to make up for the parent that's missing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, as a single mom, you overdid, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like they're missing another parent, and so I got to be mom and dad, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that sends a lot of single parents into bad habits because we're trying to make up the difference, right? And we're putting ourselves in binding situations to try to make sure that our kids do not feel like they're lacking because the other parent isn't there. Okay,
Wow.
that's a big thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We spoil our kids, we give our kids too much, we give our kids what we didn't have, all in the name of, well, dad's not here, right?
Mhm.
And so this is a constant cycle that doesn't stop. But what
Yeah.
happens is, if we don't change our money habits, right? It's a
Mm,
constant cycle that ends into like um debt and bad habits.
yeah.
And sometimes, like loss of cards
Mm,
and places to stay and things like that, because we prioritize the wrong thing, right? Instead of realizing that um kids, see love as time. Oftentimes we think kids see love as money and what you give them. But that's the reason
mhm.
why we have a bunch of entitled kids right now, right? Because they never had the opportunity to understand what it may look like to have to make life happen. They haven't seen us struggle,
Yeah.
right? Because we always made it happen. And
Mm,
so I'm just speaking, I can only speak from a single mom having to just to do that.
yeah.
And so the very first time that my lights went out, right? Because my mom didn't show me, I thought it was the end of the world,
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world,
Mm,
but I thought it was. And so the biggest thing is to give our kids a healthy mindset that life has ups and downs, that we're not always going to get what we want, right?
yeah.
That if but if we want to live life at a certain level, to have a certain amount of things, it comes with work, right?
Yes.
It comes with proper thinking, right? It comes with investing in healthy relationships, right? But
Mhm.
also the thing of, we don't have to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses don't even matter.
Right. Right. Do they matter? I mean, who are the Joneses anyway?
Who are the Joneses? Can somebody
I
tell me who the
mean,
Joneses are?
right?
We've been keeping up with the Joneses for years, and we ain't never met them.
Yeah. It's too many Jones. Jones is such a common name. I mean, God, it's anyway. Yeah, we have done that too much, and oh man, I can so agree. Same thing, right? Single parent, husband passed, and I thought, I'm trying to make up, because they don't have a dad, and doing all the things, using rent money to buy Christmas gifts. I mean, wrong choices. And I know that people listening, some of you are doing the same thing, making wrong choices. And we're thinking that it's out of love. And you are, your intentions are good. My intentions were fabulous, right? To give my kids, and this is good what I'm even thinking, because so many times we want to give our kids what we didn't have.
Exactly.
That was my thing. I wanted my kids to have what I never was able to have. And
Right.
the truth of the matter is, we need to give our kids love. You said it, love. They want our time, they want our attention, and really, they want the truth. That's
Right.
really what they want.
Right.
And so, if we can't do all the things, then we need to, and the kids are smart. So, even at a young age, kids can be sat down and talk to. Not that you got to bring out the checkbook and base that paycheck stubs, but explaining to them that, look, you just can't have everything that you want. Right? That's not what the holiday is about. That's not what Christmas is about, or your birthday, or whatever it is that you celebrate. It's about, relationships. It's about love. It's about care, and finding other ways besides spending money.
Yeah.
Money becomes an extension, of who we are.
Right.
And so we have to be careful that we are not, um, valuing or prioritizing money over
Right.
everything,
Yeah. And
because
if you
that
think,
teaches our kids, the same thing.
right. And you know what I was thinking, Deb, is also, you said it's an extension of who we are. So
Mhm,
if you are struggling in loving yourself,
mhm,
right,
yeah.
then your money issues, right,
Mhm,
are going to be a reflection of what you think, not only about yourself, what you think about others. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about God? What do like, that's the thing. Like, how our actions are reflection of our mindset, right? If I have a healthy mindset, then I'll have a healthy understanding about my spending, why I need to save, right?
Yeah.
Because the Bible is telling us that we need to, store up an inheritance, right? So
Hmm.
I love my kids, so I dare not go away from here and leave them with nothing. So
Yeah.
that means I got to save. I can't spend it all, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not telling you that God will not give you the desires of your heart, right?
Yeah.
He had a clause there.
Yeah.
Commit to him. And
Yeah.
when you commit to him, though, he will help your actions and your thoughts line up with his plan.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that our spending habits and our are lining up with our thoughts, right?
Mhm.
Skewed perspectives that have happened as a result of experiences, things that happened to us, things that people have said to us, things that we have said to ourselves,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
So I get in a down space and I go spend all this money, and then I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent the electric bill money. But
Hmm.
do you think Reliant Energy is gonna care about the fact that you was down yesterday because you didn't
Yeah.
love yourself yesterday, so you want to spend? They don't care about that. They're gonna cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing. And so that's the reason why having a healthy mindset is it's going to be the overflow into every area of your life, not just money,
Yeah.
every
Yes.
area. So it starts in
Absolutely.
the headspace.
Yeah. 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 It's where you reside up here that matters.
Yeah.
I think we put a lot of value on our physical homes, which is important. Okay, I'm not saying it's not, but it's even more important where we're living up here.
Right.
Are we living in a place of abundance? Are we living in a place of even abundant thinking, not believing the lie, because it is a lie, that
Right.
there's not enough, right? There's not enough money. There's not enough time. There's not enough resources. I don't have enough friends. I don't have whatever it is, right?
Right.
It's all limited thinking. And so we have to allow ourselves to really, and we got to push, man. Y'all, we talking about this, but it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
You got to work at it every day. It's not even a one time thing, but really getting into the habit of talking to your mind, even talking to yourself, that look, there's more than enough. I don't care what it looks like. There is more than enough. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the news, right? We live in the kingdom. Our kingdom has more than enough, right? If you're a believer, and if you're watching this, you're most likely a believer. So if you're a believer, we live in the kingdom of God. And so there's more than enough. So we have to stay in that head space and allow the witty inventions that the Bible talks about, right? The power that we have to get wealth, right? These are scriptures. These are things that God has said we can have. And so we have to be in that space and allow him to download whatever the strategy is to get the more. Now,
Right.
I'll also say, love, and I'll tell anybody, if you're feeling some kind of way, you don't need to be making no money decisions. If you're depressed, if you're sad, if you're emotional, I know some of you during this holiday season, maybe you lost a loved one. Maybe this is not the most, joyous time of the year for you. I don't know. But you don't need to go out and make huge decisions about money.
Right.
Right? I can tell you one of the biggest mistakes I made after my husband died was making a whole bunch of decisions about assets during a time of grief, like a couple of weeks afterward, right? I'm giving away this, doing that. Worst thing I could have did, because I would later regret some of those decisions. But when we're in grief, we don't care. We don't
Yeah.
care, right? And we're not seeing things clearly. So
I
if you're
think one of the
sad, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, there was a key thing that you said a few minutes ago. You said there is a lot in the kingdom, right?
Hmm.
That there's enough in the kingdom. But
Hmm.
that's a key principle, right? We talk about the kingdom all the time, okay? And there are
Hmm.
people who are believers, that talk about the kingdom, but
Mm-hmm.
still are not operating in kingdom minded wealth principles, right? Because they're still operating as orphans versus heirs in the kingdom. Okay. And so one of the things is reason why this becomes important is because I got to get the right headspace about my actual position and access, what I have access to. Okay. I'm not an orphan. I am a daughter of the king. And as
Mm-hmm.
a daughter of the king, I have certain access, right, that others don't have. And
Yep.
so in this new season, God is saying, understand your access,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
It's not God that's limiting our access. It's us that's limiting our access because of the way we think and the fact that we're out of position.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Orphans don't have, they have parents, but those parents have left. But God's word says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. So that means no matter where I am, he's always there. So why is it that we operate as orphans and not heirs when God is always there? When we have a paternal father, right? You have a father that is always there. The problem is because we're not in the right headspace about our relationship with God. We don't
Mm-hmm.
understand our access. We haven't read and truly come into agreement with his promises,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not on his pathway to purpose,
Yeah.
right? So we're missing these key things that will help change the trajectory of how we think about finances. Do you know, if we begin to think like if every dollar I spend in God's purpose, in on God's assignment, that if he said I'm gonna multiply 10 11 times, how we would think differently if we
Mm.
thought about the fact that if I put my money on assignment, that I would never have to worry about money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah. You're right. I think, we're not in the right headspace as far as who we are in the kingdom. And even if we know who we are, I don't think we always know how to access what he has for us.
Right.
Right. I think sometimes our expectations are not clear. Because people of God, I have yet to see him rain down money, and I have yet to find that money tree. I've been looking for it. I went and bought a money tree from Aldi's a few months ago. Look, that tree in the kitchen. I still ain't seen a
You
dollar on that
ain't seen
tree
no dollars
yet. I, and I've been watering it too. I'm not even good with plants. So anyway, that's another subject. but I say that because being in the right headspace means that we're in a place to receive the downloads from God,
growing.
receive the strategies, and we're able to execute on those strategies.
Right. We have to be
He's giving
open.
us wisdom, right? We
Yes.
can ask wisdom. That's the one we can ask it of him, and he won't deny us. He will give it to us. He gives it to us freely. And so, as kingdom citizens, we have access to the wisdom of wisdoms, right? The creator of wisdom. Forget,
Right.
I mean, just we have it all, right? So that's what we have access to. And so,
Right.
what we really, the headspace we want to be in is one to receive what God has and to
Right.
get out of, and I don't want to change the subject, but we got to get out of, let me, the, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. That slave mentality of just working,
For money.
right, for a paycheck,
Right.
exchanging time for money.
Exactly.
You'll never get rich exchanging time for money.
Yeah, you got to get to a point where your money begins to work for you,
Mm,
right? But
yeah,
that means your money has to be on assignment. The thing of it is that we think that, okay, he says, I'm gonna open up the windows of heaven, pour you out a blessing, right?
yeah.
And we thinking that it's gonna rain down dollars, but what it's gonna rain down is strategy that
Hmm.
leads to success,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's gonna lead down, you know what I'm saying, purpose that he can, bring his resources to. And I
Hmm.
think we got to have the right perspective about when he said he gonna open up the windows of heaven. Yeah, he gonna open them up,
Yeah.
but this is a partnership,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if my life is not where I would desire it to be right now, then I have to ask myself, have I held up my end of the partnership? And I
Yeah.
got to be honest, listen, I'm still working at it, right?
Me too.
I ain't mastered it, but I'm
Yes.
working at it
Yes.
because why get to heaven and see all the things that God has stored up for you that you did not receive because you chose not to get in the process? You chose not to honor your end of the partnership, get into agreement and alignment with things that He's already promised you, that He predestined for you, that He set up for you before you was even born.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yes.
I think that in this thing we have to ask ourselves what is keeping us from getting in agreement,
Hmm.
and whatever that is, ask God to help you destroy it, uproot it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's limiting your access. Out of agreement means limited access. And if
So
He
good.
the King of Kings and everything on the earth belongs to Him,
Hmm.
why wouldn't you want to have access to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It goes back to how the conversation started, right? Getting to the root of it.
To the
Because
root.
once he downloads the strategies or brings the resources or brings the connections, right? Because sometimes we just need to be healed. I can raise my hand so
Right,
that we can be receptive to the
right.
people that he puts along our path because we are going to need people, resources, strategy, all of it works together. So, love, as we get ready to wrap up, what let me see, give us a couple of things that our audience that we can do, right? Just maybe one or two things that we can do to begin to move in the right direction with the right mindset, the right headspace when it comes to money.
I would say the first thing that we need to do is get honest with ourselves. We have to really get honest about where we are, right? It is not easy sometimes to look at the situations, and which is the reason why people wear masks, or which is the reason why people hide in shame, which is the reason why what they may look like on the outside may not be what's looking like on the inside. But it's just time to get really honest with ourselves, because what they say, what you can't conquer, what you don't confront, right? So I said we need to start there. But when we start there, now we're giving God something to work with, right?
Yeah.
Where before, these things that we're hiding were liabilities. But
Mhm.
God said He's going to use all things, right?
Yeah.
Everything for our good. Nothing will be lost. So
Nothing.
He can turn what used to be liabilities, right? Because Satan wants you to think you're a liability, and turn it
Mm.
into an asset,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Because He reshapes how you think.
Yes.
And then once you do that, right? It's a decision. I'm gonna be honest. Like, you can go to all the classes and have all the coaches and read all the books and all those things, but you have to decide. You have to decide that either I want to stay the same or I want to change,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
recognizes that there are costs and consequences with both,
Yeah.
right? We have to count the cost. There's a cost to staying the same, but there's a cost to changing.
Yeah.
But recognizing that if you decide to change with the creator, that the
Yes.
cost is worth it.
It's worth it. It's
It's
worth it.
worth it.
It is definitely worth it. So listen, this has been so juicy, so good. Thanks,
You have to
love,
do
for
this again.
joining. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the Mindset and Money podcast.
Hey, hey,
So you
hey.
can catch us here on a regular basis. So tune in, like, share, comment, do all the things. We want to hear from you. And we will see you next time right here on this podcast. I'm Deb Howard.
And I'm Love Pate.
We'll see you next time
All right.
on the Mindset and Money podcast.